What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some more RPG horror stories. You may not know this, but I'm recording at 10:49 in the evening because I am full of energy. I don't want to talk about things too much, but good news potentially, my whole situation with diabetes is actually improving in a sense. I just want to see if maybe I can just get off some of the meds and just, be on less meds. That'd be kind of nice. But either way, I'm in a good mood, so we're gonna get some we're gonna ruin the good mood with some RPG horror stories for today. You are attacking my religion! The story of a Christian player who took things too far. Before we get into things, while this player is a religious person, I know all religious people aren't like this. Anyway, I've been playing TTRPGs on and off for the past few years, but I found myself dry after leaving a long-time group of friends. So I went to the most reputable places possible to find a game. Requests for online TTRPGs in nerd shops. One Discord invite later, I was in the server meeting the cast. The DM of our party. Actually an absolutely excellent person with a few flaws that made the story horrific. Fundy, the problem player. A very religious person who enjoyed passionate sermons. A few other players were present, but they didn't contribute to the story in any major way. We get to the character creation and I decided to put on my usual character. A paladin who broke her oath because she was tired of being strict and holy. She was constantly a bit jaded, foul-mouthed, and sat at a 45-degree angle in her seat, being generous. Fundy played a cleric of the... screw it, I'm gonna call it God because it definitely wasn't meant to be. He had Christian tenets, he often spoke Bible verses, so on and so forth. Does Fundy not know what fantasy is? Like, you can have your religious beliefs and stuff, but when you're playing a fantasy character, typically have their own pantheon there. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can choose a different god analog from the multiple pantheons of D&D 5e or whatever version you're playing of different gods. Or make your own custom god that is not outright god. I don't know why some people just want to make a god analog. There's so many cool gods on the D&D pantheon. Pick any of them that's really cool. A life one, a peace one, an order one, a law one. I don't know. Try something different. Like, it's a fantasy game. Regardless of your religion or lack thereof, on your IRL experiences, you have a chance to create a character that is a fantasy character that doesn't have to do anything with your belief systems or anything at all. And instead, you choose to make a god analog. Wow, so creative. I don't know who needs to be told this, but God is not going to smite you for playing D&D and choosing, Baal, the god of death and murder. You're not going to be sent to hell for choosing a different god other than God in your fantasy RPG, or for being a tiefling, or for colluding with the devils. You will be fine. You're okay. You're allowed to have entertainment. Session 0 went pretty well, and afterwards, Fundy messaged me. He wanted our characters to have a backstory together. Basically wanted the church I left to be his, and he was trying to lead me back to the Lord. I agreed because I thought it'd be fun RP stuff, and I had no intention to have my character return to God. Agreeing was a bad idea. Most downtime was spent with Fundy trying to convince my character to abandon her sinful ways and return to his loving embrace. My character, being a bit of an abrasive prick, would tell him shove off, and if he's so loving, why are the world so messed up? Every time I did this, I heard an exasperated breath from his microphone. Eventually, another player messaged me. She liked how our character interacted and wondered if they could begin an in-game relationship. I agreed, and this went pretty well. Her character started to draw mine out of her edgy, brooding shell, and the two of them shared some pretty adorable moments. Fundy didn't like this. His character's long tirades now mention her as well. He'd say things like, "You don't want to drag her down to the path as well, and women should not lie with one another. You need a man of the cloth, not another woman." My character would try to intimidate him to screw off at that. After the session, I messaged DM to say that Fundy's rhetoric was making me uncomfortable. DM said that Fundy wasn't like that IRL. He was just playing his character. Regardless if he was playing character or not, if it's a kind of roleplay that makes you uncomfortable, you have the right to express that you're uncomfortable. If somebody decides to play a creepy stalker that does terrible things to you at night, right? It's still creepy either way. Creepy is still creepy. Weird is still weird. Uncomfortable is still uncomfortable, regardless if it's a roleplay or not. If it's getting to the point where it's like borderline creepy or uncomfortable or makes you genuinely uncomfortable at the table and ruining your fun, you have the right to voice it. Anyway, let's see how the DM handles this. I hope the DM actually says something or tells at least Fundy, hey, maybe tone it down a little bit. Let's not turn it into a sour mood or something. Eventually, Fundy posted some art of our characters. AI generated quote-unquote art at that. My character was depicted as a blonde girl with pale skin and gorgeous plate armor. Now, dear readers, my paladin was black with dark brown hair and studded leather armor. When I brought this up to him, he said, "Well, this is what I imagine her to look like, but whatever you say." I was a bit perturbed at this and messaged DM again. He said something along the lines of, "I can't change what already exists, but I'll talk to Fundy." I don't know if he did. If they're changing your character's identity or massive characteristics that make your character, such as your personality or hell, even your appearance, I feel like it's not even your character at all. It's like if somebody decided to draw me, except I'm not a tiefling. I'm just a sloth, the animal sloth. You ever see these things? These lazy bastards? They're sloths. If somebody drew me as a sloth, then it wouldn't be me. I'm a tiefling. I'm a warlock. I pick pockets for a living because I like money. Depicting me as a sloth or even a chair is anything other than me is not even me at that point. Fundy is extremely weird. Also, isn't changing character's race like borderline racist? Is it racist? I don't know. It's not necessarily racist per se, but it's giving me really strange vibes. I don't know. Like the intention behind it. What is the intention? Is it just creative freedom or is it just AI? You know, let's be honest. It's just AI slop. Eventually things broke down. The PC my character was attached to died, and my character retreated back into her shell. She took it badly, becoming moody and confrontational. Fundy saw this as time to preach to her again, talking about how this was a prime time to repent for my sins and return to my father, so she may be honored in heaven. My character said, "Go away, or my next sin will be cutting you down." This was just intended as an empty threat, as I'd done these to other PCs and never followed up, even having my character apologize for being a tool later. Fundy didn't take it like that. Fundy challenged my character to a duel, saying that if he won, she'd have to return to the order. Given this was a kinda bad cleric versus optimized to hell and back paladin, I absolutely whipped his ass. My character healed him and decided to be a bit of an ass, saying, "Maybe if you spend more time learning to fight, you'd be able to convince me." Fundy flipped out, screaming about how I was a cheater, a sinner, a racism, a sexism, a homophobia, and how I should just get some Christian husband to take pity on me. He ended his initial screaming rampage with, "And you're attacking my religion." Is he using that as a shield? Like, "You're this, you're that, and now you can't say nothing because you're attacking my religion." When religion had nothing to do with it. Hold on one second. Fundy, look, let's be honest here. Let's be very fair. Let's be extremely fair and honest here. You brought the religion in. Nobody else did. Nobody even bothered to bring it in. Everybody were playing their character as their character. You're the one that made it personal and brought religion in. You brought the religion in here with this specific explosive tirade at the end of all this. Completely unnecessary. You're the one bringing Christianity and religion into this argument, into this farce in general. Nobody else is doing it. You can't blame somebody doing it when you're the one doing it, jackass. This guy is a jackass, 100%. The DM kept trying to calm him down, but he kept screaming and screaming. Eventually, I left the call. DM sent me a message later apologizing and saying how he didn't see this coming at all. I told him that he was stupid for not seeing it coming, and I was given an ultimatum. Either kick Fundy or I'm leaving. The DM agreed. He made some mistakes and kicked out Fundy, saying his character died in our duel. Fundy sent me a few private messages later, continuing his berating and use of slurs, demanding I stop being into women and come to God, where I'll be unloved and burn in hell. I called him a bitch and blocked him. Not very Christian of him to send a bunch of slurs and stuff at you. Honestly, I don't know how everybody is. Like, I'm not exactly a religious person, but at the end of the day, I judge people personally by the way they act, regardless of their religion, what they do, who they are really. And if you act like an a-hole, I'm gonna treat you like an a-hole. And Fundy is indeed an a-hole. I know a lot of people that are indeed religious, even some that play D&D, and they're just fine. They do whatever they want, whether it's like Hindu religion or Christianity or I don't know, people from all different walks of life that take entertainment and enjoy entertainment like a regular without making religion a massive topic at every single table and every argument. But Fundy acts like a complete and utter a-hole, so they are an utter a-hole, and I'm glad the DM kicked him out. Keeping Fundy around would be a death of this campaign, so I'm glad the DM made a right decision. And at the end of the day, you have the satisfaction of killing off his character thanks to the DM. So I mean, win-win, I guess. I don't know who needs to be told this, but just don't be like Fundy. Don't be a preachy a-hole. Nobody likes, regardless if you're religious or not, nobody likes people that preach. Nobody likes people that preach. I don't preach, by the way. I just rage. That's it. The best player had the worst character backstory. To be clear, this isn't a horror story wherein someone did something nasty, terrible, or mean-spirited. This is a horror story in the sense of being a GM, where one of my best players failed spectacularly by providing character backstory I could do nothing with. This is early in my DMing career, so there's a lot I would have done differently now that I'm more experienced. Campaign background. So I had a failed D&D campaign with these same players. Tried to do a classic high fantasy RPG, but none of us were feeling it. We stopped playing after 2 sessions. I just brought D&D 4e Dark Sun, so I said, hey, I'm really excited to try out this setting. What do you say we ditch the Tolkien fantasy and went a bit post-apocalyptic desert? Must have sold it well because all my players were like, let's go! The players. Funny enough, the players had played Dark Sun before in the form of one of the classic video games. So he actually ported his character from the video game into the campaign. He was playing an ex-Templar who escaped Draj's gladiatorial pit. We had already agreed to start in Balak, which is on the opposite side of the map. Draj is all the way to the north map edge, and Balak is literally directly south of the map edge. I asked the player a few things about his background. Oh, his parents were killed? Who killed them? Oh, your Templar teacher / mentor? Awesome. I have a potential character who will be hunting down his PC. Oh, what do you mean you already killed him? If it wasn't clear, the player was giving me a backstory with all the hooks resolved for a level 1 character. Tried asking for additional plot hooks, but every response was essentially no. Do you have any surviving family? No. Do you have any enemies? No. Do you have any character history I can bring in so you feel a part of the world? No. What I do differently? Probably have a Templar from Draj hunting him down as an escaped slave / gladiator, but also have at least one family member alive and possibly in a position as a raider or something. Even though the player's character thinks these are hard truths, that doesn't mean he knows the whole truth. Is it because the player just wants to play simplified characters? Like, generally there is a moment, like, also, this is not much of a RPG horror story, it's just kind of a mild story. Mild horror, but not even mild horror, just mild, you know? It's when you get the hot sauce packets from Taco Bell, and it's just a mild, you know? It's not hot, but it's flavorful, kinda, sorta. It's a middle ground. It's about as spicy as ketchup, really. But either way, some players really want to make simplified characters that don't really have a lot going on with them because they don't really care to have a detailed backstory. I understand why a DM would want to have a detailed backstory or something to work with, because hooks help create a cool story for your player characters. Having things be wrapped up in a backstory, yeah, that's a little bit rough. That could be definitely rough to deal with. However, your creativity with having somebody hunt them down probably would have been a really good idea. Or in fact, maybe have somebody recognize them and not eventually get passed up the grapevine. Maybe somebody else finds out about them, you know, stuff like that. Don't discourage yourself too much. Like, yeah, if the player doesn't give you like immediate hooks to go with or doesn't want to go with specific hooks, I mean, that just means you can just come up with whatever you want. Somebody recognizes them, they pass on the information, maybe they become a little more famous, maybe more people get find out about them. If there's a bit of a cult following, merchants start talking about them, that goes up to the other city, the Draj city. Somebody finds out about it, it's like, oh yeah, my mentor was killed, that person specifically killed my mentor, somebody important or dear to me, my brother, my father, or whatever, and they want to go out for revenge, and then it becomes like a whole story. Like, even though the player didn't give you much, they still gave you enough to work with. You know where the player character's from, you know exactly what they did, you know what they have done, and you can use that, what they have done, what they've resolved, as part of the backstory continuation, or, you know, story continuation. I understand if some players just don't want to have anything going on with the backstory that's like not resolved, but maybe also just would be good to talk with the player and say, listen, you gotta give me a hook or something. Anyway, not much of an RPG horror story, but compared to the last one they ever read, it's a nice way to end the story on a semi-good note, not a terrible note. So there's that, I guess. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.